Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using some of Jaded Blossom's MDF images. If you weren't aware, they sell a wide variety of different images that work with their gnome dies and gnome friends. The MDF pieces are available with a stand or with the hang tag ring. In this video, I'm showing the stand, but I will show one gnome with the hang tag ring as well. The hang tag ring is great for making ornaments. The stand is perfect for making little critter or gnome decorations. I plan on using the pieces to decorate my craft room since I love Jaded Blossom's gnomes and now their new gnome friends. So I'm just showing a few of the different choices. There are way more options on their website. And if you want to check out all of the MDF options, I do have a link in the description box below. In this video, I'll be assembling one of the images. And with Easter not too far away, I thought it would be perfect to show the bunny. There are two different options with the bunny, one with the floppy ears down and the other with the ears up. I'll be making the bunny with the ears up. Most of Jaded Blossom's gnome friends include the face piece without any of the stitch detail. That way it works with their face stamps that go with each of the critters. When they first released the bunny, they didn't have that solid face die piece or the stamps, but they have just released both of them. So I'll be using those in the video as well. The die sets do include pieces for the faces, but I absolutely love the stamp faces. So I've already gone ahead and die cut out all of the pieces for the bunny, and I couldn't resist making a pink bunny. I did use pattern paper. It's from one of Doodlebug Design's petite prints. I have all of the pieces in one of Scrapbook.com's stack and sort trays. Now with the stands, you can use it as is with that wood finish, but Jaded Blossom does have a die set that cuts out the base. And it's nice having the die since you can customize that base or keep it as is with the wood finish. I'll start by adhering the base die cut piece on top of the base, and I'm simply using Barely Art glue to adhere all of my different pieces. I will place an acrylic block on top for some added weight. Let that sit for a few minutes while the glue dries. So now it's time to assemble the bunny. And from experience, I find it easier to assemble the critters right onto the wood pieces. If you completely assemble the paper gnomes or animal images off of the wood pieces, they may not line up correctly. And I will show one of the critters that I assembled first and then placed it on the MDF piece, and it did not line up. To assemble the bunny, I started off with the two individual ear pieces. I'll glue those on the wood piece. Then I'll attach the full body piece. And after adhering each layer, I will place that acrylic block on top. So now I'll assemble the individual ears. I used light pink cardstock for the inside of the ears, the tail, the bottom of the feet, and the little toe beans. Jaded Blossom's gnome friend die sets include quite a few layers for the critters. You could skip some of those layers if you want, but I like adding them for extra detail. So the head is individual, the body, the feet, the ears, but you could also use just that back piece and then the individual ears. For the feet, one is a solid piece and the other cuts out the toe beans and that bottom of the foot. I put some clear double-sided adhesive tape behind the toe beans and inlaid them. They're super tiny. I'll glue the bottom of the foot on that solid piece, so you won't see any of it, but I still use the same pattern paper just in case it peeks out from the side. And I'll add that solid piece for the bottom of the foot. Now I'll attach the individual ears. And since I am using glue, I have a little bit of time to adjust each of those pieces so they're lined up correctly on the MDF piece. Jaded Blossom's MDF pieces have been super popular. It's fun to make ornaments or different hanging decoration pieces. The stands are great for decoration, and I know some people like to use them as place settings at a dinner table. You could easily customize them for each dinner guest. You could add a name or have the gnomes or critters hold different items. The turkey images have been really popular for Thanksgiving. For the bunny's belly, I did use pattern paper. It's a little hard to see, but it's white with a very light gray diagonal stripe. I started to attach it, but I needed to hold the head in place. That way I could get that little tummy belly piece lined up correctly, since the very top of it lines up perfectly with the bunny's chin. I almost forgot to attach the tail. I was able to lift up the side, that way I could tuck the end of the tail underneath. And that tail piece can also be used for a little floof at the top of the bunny's head. So now I'll set aside the bunny and start working on the face. I want to make sure to stamp a nice solid impression, so I will use a mini MISTI. And since this is a small piece, there's not a lot of room to hold that die cut piece in place with a magnet, so I am using Waffle Flowers grip mat. It has a tacky surface, so it'll hold that die cut piece in place. That way I can stamp the image multiple times to get a nice solid impression. I always have one of my mini MISTIs set up with a grip mat. There are so many different fun face options. I'm trying to decide which one I want to use. I went with the larger eyes, little eyelashes, and this sweet little smile. I love the tiny nose and whiskers. I am tilting my mini MISTI, trying to make sure the face is evenly spaced. Don't want to have crooked eyes for this little bunny. So now I'll ink it up using Honeybee Stamp's Intense Black ink. You can see after the first stamping, definitely not a very strong impression. So I will ink it up several times. Want to make sure that black area of the eyes are nice and solid. Once I'm happy with this stamping, I'll remove the bunny's face die cut piece using a pair of tweezers. The bunny's nose is simply that outline, so I am using a Copic marker and filling it in. I selected a slightly darker pink color. This is RV09. I decided to add the little floof at the top of the bunny's head. So this is the tail piece, as I mentioned earlier, and I cut it out from some pink glittery cardstock. Now it doesn't fit perfectly at the top of the head. So after I adhere it down, I have the very top of that piece hanging off the edge. I'll simply flip over the bunny's face, use a pair of scissors, and trim off the overhang. And I want to make sure to get it nice and rounded with the top of the bunny's head. I love this little bit of sparkle, and this glitter paper is nice since it doesn't shed. So now I can attach the bunny's face on the background. I'll put more glue on the back, adhere it in place, making sure to get it lined up nicely with the background. Next, I'll add the bunny's feet, and I decided to pop them up using some foam dimension. Grab some small foam squares, and these are a 1 millimeter thickness, so it doesn't add a lot of extra dimension. I'll remove the release paper and add the bunny feet in place. So you can still see a little bit of the bunny's legs. This just covers up that very bottom area. I'll also be adding some arms. You can have the gnomes and the gnome friends hold different objects, but I decided this bunny would just have its little arms in front. I'll put barely art glue on the back and adhere the bunny's arms in place. So this bunny is almost finished. Since I did stamp the face on the pink polka dot pattern paper, the little inside white of the eyes is pink. So you can easily change that by using a white gel pen. I grabbed a scrap piece of cardstock, scribbling the pen to make sure I get it flowing nicely, and I'll just fill in that white area of the eyes. And I didn't do a very good job on the right, I guess the bunny's left eye. So after I finished recording the video, I did go back in and touch up those inside areas of the eye. I'm also using a pen to add a highlight on the bunny's nose, put a couple little dots inside the ears, and a highlight on the bottom of the feet. Now I'll place the bunny into the stand, and there it is, all complete. I thought using the green cardstock for the stand would make it look like the bunny was sitting in grass. Now when you look at the back side, you can see all those areas of the bunny sticking out. That doesn't bother me at all since no one will see it. And here's a look at the bunny with the floppy ears. This is the one I mentioned that I first assembled the paper bunny and then attached it on the MDF piece, and you can see it doesn't line up perfectly. And I was having so much fun assembling the different gnome friends. I have a few more to share. Made a cute little ghost wearing pink glasses. Here's a gnome that has the face, and he looks so grumpy, I decided he needed to have some happy mail. So he's holding a letter with a heart. Then I have a girl gnome holding a purple tulip, since I love tulips. I have another gnome, this time the boy gnome, and he's holding the sentiment high, and I did use some holographic paper for the sentiment, so it's super shiny. The next gnome friend is a bear, and he's holding a red heart. I use yellow cardstock for his stand. There are several holiday images. One is the gingerbread man, or you can turn it into a gingerbread girl like I did. Currently, my favorite gnome friend is the penguin. So I couldn't resist making this sweet little girl, and she's staying nice and cozy with a scarf. And for her base piece, I used some white shimmer cardstock, so it looks like she's standing in snow. The last MDF piece I'm showing you has the hang tag ring. This is one I made earlier when they first released the MDF pieces. So I wanted to show the difference in case you'd rather have the ornament style versus the stand. Both are super cute, and I enjoyed making every single piece. If you are interested in Jaded Blossom's MDF pieces, the stand, or the hang tag rings, I do have links in the description box below. And as I mentioned, there are other images available other than what I showed in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.